Hey everyone, it's Sarah. Today I'm here with my first ever writing vlog video. I thought I would start doing these vlog videos where I can talk about my journey with writing. So today I'm going to talk about my young adult book, which is a young adult fantasy called We Own the Sky. So in 2006, when I was in college, I wrote a play called Painted about an artist who saw two muses. They were named Vincent and Isabella, and no one else could see them, but they were her inspiration. So she interacted with them, and they were very much a part of her life. I produced and directed this play in college in 2007. It was an incredible experience for me, but afterwards, I couldn't get these characters of Vincent and Isabella out of my head. I was just kind of obsessed with them. So meanwhile, I read all the Harry Potter books, I read all of the Twilight books, and I was starting to really be inspired by young adult books, and I've always loved the kind of coming-of-age story. The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky is still my favorite book. So I really wanted to try writing a young adult book. So I had these two ideas in my head of writing a young adult book at some point, and Vincent and Isabella, and how I wanted to explore them further, and I couldn't really leave these characters alone. So eventually, these two ideas merged, and I started writing a young adult book about muses and artistic inspiration. So I started writing in late 2012. My book was called The Muses at that point, and I really became obsessed. I mean, I pretty much just wrote every day. I set the book in my hometown of Marietta, Georgia. So when I was, walking around town, I very much felt like I was in the book. It was a pretty magical time, I have to say. Let me just read you the synopsis that I wrote in my query letter. 16-year-old musician Sylvia Baker has always been able to see muses, mysterious beings who give artists inspiration, though they seem to be invisible to everyone else. After a near-suicide attempt, Sylvia manages to climb out of the darkness of her mind by exploring her own musical abilities with the help of Travis, inspirational guitarist and classmate, and Vincent, the alluring British muse who becomes Sylvia's obsession. As she travels further into the world of these immortal beings that influence art, she finds herself in the middle of an epic battle between the modern earthling muses and the original Greek muses, some of which want her life. So I've described this book as sort of Twilight meets The Perks of Being a Wallflower. It is influenced by Twilight in that it involves kind of first love and the young adult epic fantasy that takes place in a small town that is seemingly ordinary on the surface. And it's very much influenced by The Perks of Being a Wallflower because I love Stephen Chbosky and his writing style. It's very much a coming-of-age story. Music is a huge part of the story. Sylvia talks about bands that she likes and her playing music. If you're a fan of books that talk a lot about music, like The Song Will Save Your Life by Layla Sales, or even High Fidelity by Nick Hornby, you would probably enjoy this book. Okay, so I finished my draft at the beginning of 2013, and I started querying literary agents in about March of 2013. And I did them in batches, but let me tell you, I queried probably every literary agent in America that represents young adult literature. It ended up being around 200 literary agents. This is insane for most people. Most writers are going to tell you to query a lot less agents than that, but I'm pretty stubborn and determined to do things. So I got a lot of rejections a lot of rejections. But I got some requests to see my full manuscript. In July of 2013, I got an offer of representation from a literary agent who really understood what I was doing with the Muses. She called me and she said, she had kind of a spiritual connection to this book, and she really understood Sylvia and the idea of artistic inspiration that I wanted to explore. She was really enthusiastic, and I connected with her right away. So I signed on with her in August of 2013. I did some revisions on the manuscript, and she submitted it to the first round of publishers in about October of 2013. So it has been a little over a year, almost a year and a half now, that it's been on submission to publishers. We've gotten some rejections, a lot of no responses, but she just submitted it to another round of publishers in about mid-March, so we're waiting to hear back from those people at this point. I feel good about her because I think she really is enthusiastic about my book, and she is just as determined as I am to find it a publishing home. I have decided, though, if it doesn't find a traditional publisher, I am going to self-publish it. I'm currently working on the sequel. I expect it to be a trilogy, and I do intend to self-publish or traditionally publish all 3 books. The story will definitely be complete, and it will be out there, because I have to finish telling the story for myself, for my characters. I owe it to them. Vincent is basically my muse. I don't know if you've ever heard Anne Rice talk about Lestat and how much she loves that character, but Vincent is basically my Lestat. I've just had this obsession with Vincent ever since I started writing about him in Painted, and that is largely what fuels my desire to write this story. As I've worked on the story, it's become about more than just that. In a lot of ways, it's me expressing my love for music and my love for art, and the way I think that art has saved my life many times. It deals with addiction and drugs and depression, and kind of how music and art can all save us from the horrible things in the world. The Muses are sort of mystical, spiritual beings, because I think the creation of art is very magical and spiritual, even on a certain level. So hopefully I'll be getting some good news soon from my agent. But even if I don't, this story will definitely be told, and it will definitely be out there and available for people to read. I'm going to say it will definitely be published in some form by the end of 2017. Don't quote me on that, but I'm just going to put that out there right now. If I do end up self-publishing it, I'll probably start working on a different book that's unrelated to the Muses in between finishing the second one and writing the third one, so that I can have something to give my agent to try to traditionally publish while I'm also working on self-publishing. I would really like to be a hybrid author that does both self-publishing and traditional publishing. I think that would be the ideal way to do things, because there are pros and cons about both approaches, and I would really like to participate in both ways of publishing, because I think the publishing world right now is really exciting, and I think it's a great time to be a writer. Alright, so that's my journey with my young adult book, We Own the Sky, which is book 1 in the MUSE Chronicles. That's what I'm calling it. So thanks for listening, and don't forget to come back on Wednesday to check out my writing video I'm going to be talking about how to write good dialogue, so you don't want to miss that. Alright, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!